I want to start today with a feeling,
Okay.
a really specific, really frustrating sensation that I think, a lot of us know intimately.
I think I know what you're getting at.
It's the feeling of being completely capable. You have the skills, the drive, the intelligence, but you feel like you're just pushing against an invisible wall.
hmm Capable, but constrained. That's the phrase. You're revving the engine, it's in the red, but the car is not moving.
The car is not moving. And when that happens, the world, it screams one thing at us.
Push harder.
Push harder, step on the gas.
Right. The assumption is always that the problem is effort. If you're not getting there, well, you must be lazy, or you just don't want it enough.
But today, we're doing a deep dive into a text that basically says, stop. It says the problem isn't your foot on the gas. The problem is that you are inside a machine you don't really understand.
Yeah.
We're digging into systems of influence, breaking the constraints of opportunity.
This is a really interesting one. It essentially takes a sledgehammer to the whole hustle culture narrative.
Which, frankly, I'm so ready for. I am tired of being told to wake up at 4 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to play devil's advocate here for a second. If we're not hustling, aren't we just giving up? I mean, work still has to get done, right?
That's the fear, isn't it? We think the opposite of hustle is laziness. But what this text argues is that the opposite of hustle is actually engineering.
Engineering. Okay, unpack that for me.
Well, think about it. Hustle is all about force, brute force. It's how much raw energy you can expend pushing a boulder up a hill.
Right.
Engineering asks a different question. It asks, why is the boulder at the bottom of the hill to begin with, and can I just build a pulley?
So we're trying to build a pulley today.
We're trying to understand the physics of the environment.
Hmm.
The core idea here is that systems, not your motivation, are what shape outcomes. If you're trapped in a maze, motivation just makes you run into the walls faster.
Right, and with more bruises.
Exactly. You don't need to run faster. You need a map of the maze.
I really like that distinction because motivation always feels so personal. If I lack motivation, it's my fault. I'm a bad person.
Yeah.
But if I lack a map, well, that's just a logistics problem. I can go find a map.
Precisely. It shifts the blame from the individual to the architecture. And the source identifies 4 specific pillars of this architecture. These are the real-life systems that govern our lives.
Money, time, access, and opportunity.
Those are the big 4.
And we are going to break these down, but not in the usual way. This is not a how to budget or how to use a planner kind of conversation.
No, absolutely not. We have to look at these as mechanics. So if your life is a machine, these are the gears, the fuel lines, the circuitry. And most of us are trying to operate this incredibly complex machine without ever reading the manual.
Let's open the manual then. System 1 is money. Now, usually when we talk about money, it's all about accumulation. How much do you have?
Right. We treat it like a static object.
Right.
A pile of gold coins in a vault somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But the text argues that money is a system of flow. It's a plumbing problem.
Plumbing. So you're talking about where it comes in and where it leaks out. Income and expenses.
It's deeper than that. Think about leverage. In a plumbing system, you have pressure, right? If you were just trading your hours for dollars, working a job, getting a paycheck, spending it, you are in effect just carrying buckets of water.
And if I stop carrying buckets, if I get sick or I lose my job, the water just stops.
The water stops. Exactly.
Yep.
Viewing money as a system means asking, how do I build pipes so the water flows even when I'm not carrying the bucket? This gets into assets and investing, sure, but it's also about the fundamental structure of your financial life.
Okay, give me a concrete example. Because I feel like everyone says build passive income, but if you've got a mortgage and kids, that can sound like a total fantasy.
Okay, let's take 2 people, exact same salary. Person A use money as a resource to be consumed. They get paid, they buy things, money's gone.
So their system is just input consumption.
That's it. But person B sees money as a tool for efficiency. They use their money to buy back time. Maybe they hire a cleaner or pay for a service that automates a boring task.
Which frees them up to learn a new skill or build a side project.
You got it. Person B is using money to upgrade their engine, while person A is just buying better upholstery for the seats.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, person B is reinvesting the fuel to make the car faster. Person A is just burning it. Over 10 years, person B's system compounds. They haven't just saved more money, they've fundamentally changed how their life operates because they used money to change their constraints.
That brings us right to the second pillar, which I think is the one that people struggle with the most. Time.
Time, the great equalizer, right?
Yeah.
We all have 24 hours in a day.
That's the cliche. Beyoncé has the same 24 hours as you, which by the way, I have always hated.
because Beyoncé has a staff.
Because Beyoncé has a staff.
And that is exactly why the 24 hours myth is so dangerous. It completely ignores the system of time. The text talks about time functioning like a set of gears. For some people, those gears are well-oiled, efficient. For others, they're just grinding against each other, creating friction.
I want to focus on the real responsibilities part from the source. Because the person listening to this probably has a job, maybe a family. Their time isn't just theirs, it's fragmented, it's claimed.
This is a crucial point. In a standard hustle mindset, time is just an empty bucket you fill with work. But in a systems mindset, you have to acknowledge what the source calls time extraction.
Time extraction, that sounds
Yep.
a little ominous.
It is. The modern world is literally designed to extract time from you. Your commute, endless meetings, social media algorithms, all that administrative bureaucracy.
They're external systems designed to harvest your hours?
They are. And if you don't have a defense system, like a deep work protocol or just really strict boundaries, your time will be stolen from you.
So if I feel like I have no time, it's not just because I'm bad at time management. It's because the system around me is better at time extraction than I am at time defense.
Yes. You're bringing a knife to a gunfight.
Okay, so how do we engineer a better time system, especially if I can't just quit my job tomorrow?
You look for the gear ratios, you look for asymmetric returns. A lot of us spend huge amounts of time on really low-value tasks, checking email every 5 minutes, reorganizing files.
Because it feels like work. It feels productive.
It feels like work, but it's shallow work. A systemic fix is batching all those tasks into one single hour, or automating them, or, and this is the really hard one, simply refusing to do the ones that don't actually move the needle.
That feels risky, just refusing to do work.
It is risky, but the alternative is the certainty of stagnation. The text suggests you have to protect your high RPM hours, those times when you're most alert, most creative, for the work that actually builds leverage. If you give your best hours to a commute or a status meeting, your system is inefficient by design.
So stop trying to manage every single minute and start protecting the best minutes.
Exactly. Optimize the peak instead of trying to flatten the whole curve.
I love that. Okay, let's move to pillar 3, access. Now, this is where things get a bit murky for me. Access feels like who you know. And isn't that just luck or privilege?
It is often privilege, you're not wrong, but the text argues that we should view access as a system of topology. It's about the shape of your network.
Topology. Okay, you're getting technical on me.
Think of society as a giant grid of nodes, of points. Some nodes are highly connected, they're central hubs. Other nodes are way out on the periphery, connected to almost nobody. Access is simply your distance from the people making the decisions.
So if I'm way out on the periphery, I could be the smartest person in the world, but my ideas just aren't going anywhere.
Exactly. You're shouting into the void. This is why networking is so often misunderstood. People think networking is just handing out business cards at some mixer.
Which is low-level hustling.
It's hustling. Building an access system is different. It's about positioning.
Okay, give me an example. What's the difference? What does positioning look like in practice?
Positioning is placing yourself in the flow of information. So let's say you want to work in artificial intelligence. Networking is cold emailing random CEOs asking for a job. It's a low probability move.
Right.
Access engineering is starting a blog where you summarize the top 5 AI research papers every week, and then you tag the authors on social media.
Oh, I see. You're not knocking on doors. You're becoming a node yourself.
You're becoming a node of value. You're building a hallway that leads interesting people to you. Instead of trying to find the door, you're building a signal tower. The access system is about reducing the friction between you and the opportunity.
And that segues perfectly into the 4th pillar, opportunity, because I think we often confuse access and opportunity. We think they're the same thing.
They're very different. If access is the hallway, opportunity is the door at the end of it. And here's the controversial take from the text. Opportunity is not random.
It certainly feels random, right place, right time.
It feels random because we don't see all the variables. But the source defines opportunity as an output. It's the result of a specific set of inputs.
Okay, but what are the inputs? How do I manufacture an opportunity?
You don't really manufacture it directly. You increase your surface area for it to hit you. This goes back to signal detection. Most people are just drowning in noise. They think every job posting, every side hustle idea, every trend is an opportunity.
The shiny object syndrome.
Totally.
Yeah.
And if you chase every shiny object, you're just running in circles. That's a broken opportunity system. A functioning system has filters. It knows what a good opportunity looks like for you.
So it's about rejection.
It's largely about rejection. It's about saying, this looks cool, but it doesn't fit my machine. It doesn't use my fuel, money, or my gears, time efficiently. Real opportunity usually comes from a convergence of things. You have the access, you're in the right room, you have the capacity, you have the skills, and the market has a need.
So if I'm just sitting here waiting for my lucky break, I'm doing it wrong. I should be looking at my own dashboard. Do I have access? Do I have the skills? If not, no amount of luck is going to help me.
That's it. The source calls this respecting the mechanics. If you don't have access, you can't get the opportunity. If you don't have time, you can't execute on the opportunity. These systems are all linked.
I want to pause here and bring this back to that real people, real responsibilities idea. Because when we talk about engineering these big systems building assets, protecting time, creating signal towers, it sounds like a lot of work.
It is work. We're not saying it's easy. We're saying it's effective.
But what about the person listening to this on their commute to a job they hate, maybe worrying about a credit card bill? They might be thinking, I don't have the energy to build a signal tower. I'm just trying to survive.
And that is the most important listener we have right now, because that person has the least margin for error.
Say more about that.
Well, if you're wealthy and you have infinite free time, you can afford to have a bad system. You can waste years chasing the wrong things because you have a huge safety net.
Right.
But if you have real responsibilities, kids, debt, a demanding job, you cannot afford to be inefficient. You don't have the luxury of wasting effort.
So the constraints, they actually make the system more important, not less.
Crucially so. The text argues that acknowledging your constraints is the very first step of engineering. You don't pretend you don't have kids. You don't pretend you don't have debt. You treat those as fixed variables in your personal equation.
So instead of saying, I wish I didn't have these responsibilities, you say, okay, given these responsibilities, how do I configure the remaining variables?
Exactly. Maybe you
Yeah.
can't hustle for 12 hours a day because you have a family. Great. That just means your time system has to be ruthless. You have to be twice as effective in the 2 hours you do have. You have to use your access system to skip the line because you literally don't have the time to wait in it.
So it turns the disadvantage into a forcing function for good strategy.
Yes. Strategy is born from constraint. If you had no constraints, you wouldn't need a strategy at all. You'd just use brute force.
That's actually really hopeful. It means my constraints aren't stopping me. They're just defining the kind of machine I need to build.
That's the aha moment right there. The constraints are the design specs for your system.
So let's bring this all together. We started with that feeling of pushing against a wall, and we realized that pushing harder or hustle isn't the answer if the wall is structural.
Right. We moved from motivation to mechanics. We looked at money not as a pile, but as a flow. Time not as a calendar, but as a gear system.
We looked at access not as who you know, but as your position in the grid. And opportunity not as luck, but as a calculated output.
And we grounded all of it in the reality that your responsibilities are the variables you have to design around, not excuses to just give up.
I think the biggest shift for me today is the idea of agency. Because usually when we talk about systems, it sounds so disempowering. You know, the system is rigged, the system controls everything.
It can feel that way. If you believe the system is some unchangeable, monolithic thing, you become a victim of it. But if you believe the system is a machine that can be studied, understood, and maybe even hacked,
Then you become an operator.
then you become an operator. You stop being the cog and you start being the mechanic. Look, the wind blows whether you understand aerodynamics or not. The economy moves, the job market shifts, social networks evolve. You can either be blown around by these forces or you can learn to build a sail.
And building a sail is an engineering problem. It takes time, it takes learning, but it's a lot better than just flapping your arms and hoping you'll fly.
And that's really the choice, isn't it? You can exhaust yourself flapping your arms. That's the hustle trap. Or you can stop, look at the materials you have around you, and start building a wing.
So here's the challenge we want to leave you with. It's a bit of homework, but the good kind. I want you to look at those 4 pillars: money, time, access, and opportunity.
And don't try to fix them all at once. That's just a recipe for overwhelm. Just pick one. Pick the one that feels the most stuck for you right now.
Maybe your time feels completely out of your control. Or maybe you feel invisible and you just have no access.
And take that one system and ask yourself this question. If I couldn't work any harder than I am right now, if my effort was capped, how would I change the mechanics to get a better result?
Where can you build a pipe instead of carrying a bucket? Where can you open a door instead of just punching a wall?
Stop pushing. Start designing.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.